understand the economy. Well, I have a plan to turn our economy around and create 5 million new jobs. We can do that working together. Senator McCain really wants 8 years more of the same. Well, I'm going to deliver 21st century solutions that will move our country forward again. We'll focus on the problems right here in Ohio and begin to solve them. Now, both Senator Obama and I would make history, but only one of us is ready on day one to be Commander-in-Chief, ready to manage our being a doer, a fighter, and a champion for those who need a voice. That is what I would bring to the White House again. That is the choice in this election. And after the past 7 years, that choice couldn't be more important. Because for 7 long years, we've had a government of, by, and for the corporate special interests. They've been heard loudest, and they have drowned out everyone else. And while you pinched pennies to stay within your budget, the president blew the bank on tax breaks for his friends and no-bid contracts for his cronies, borrowing hundreds of billions of dollars from China to pay for it all. He has signed a subprime mortgage on America's economic future, and that's your future. And so when people ask me, why can't we get tough on China? Well, when was the last time you got tough on your banker? And so we have to get back to fiscal responsibility in order to get tough on China, because we shouldn't be borrowing so much money from them. You know, China's steel comes here and our jobs go there. We play by the rules, they manipulate their currency. And we get tainted fish, lead-laced toys, and poisoned pet food in return. I think that's a pretty raw deal, don't you? And let's be honest about something. When President Bush and Vice President Chaney say the economy is booming, even though 3 million manufacturing jobs have been lost, when their administration says outsourcing is a plus for our economy, or when Senator McCain tells you that business as usual on trade is just fine, when he thinks making tax cuts for the wealthy permanent is a top economic priority, they're sending you a clear message. The struggles of middle class and working families simply don't matter. Your voices just don't matter. They think the economy works as long as it works for their friends at the top. When good jobs leave, they think that's just the price of admission to the global marketplace. They think it would be fine if every plane, every piece of machinery, every computer, and every car were made somewhere else. Well, I could not disagree more, and don't you also have some? You know, some people may call this the Rust Belt, but that's not what I see. I see some of the hardest working people in the world. I see great universities and strong neighborhoods and families. I see communities where young people should be able to find good jobs, and no one should ever have to leave their family to earn their living. I see a 21st century manufacturing belt, an innovation belt, an opportunity belt that will once again put us in the forefront of the world's economy. And I see a middle-class comeback that starts right here and right now in places like this. Places just like Youngstown. You know, in Youngstown, you have startup companies thriving at a new business incubator. In places like Warren, where the GM plant I visited is, you're leading the way in producing the fuel-efficient cars of the next generation. Places like Akron, where cutting-edge manufacturing jobs and technological innovation are really attracting and keeping highly skilled young workers. So let's start working together to build the America that we believe in, and let's level the playing field against the corporate special interests. We're going to deliver 21st century solutions to rebuild the middle class. So let's get real about our future, starting right now. Let's get real about the future of trade in this country. Let's get real about NAFTA. It simply isn't working for all Americans. So I'm not just going to talk about what's wrong with NAFTA. I'm going to fix it. And I have a four-part plan to do exactly that. First, we'll have the strongest possible labor and environmental standards in the core NAFTA agreement. Second, we won't let foreign companies undermine worker protections as they do right now. These companies can challenge American regulations intended to protect American workers and the environment. That is not acceptable, and I will change that. NAFTA's enforcement mechanisms to remove trade barriers and better protect American jobs. And finally, we'll review this agreement and every other trade agreement regularly. If it's not raising living standards right here in America and protecting American workers, then we're not going to have it be a race to the bottom. We will never again let 14 years go by without updating and modernizing our trade agreements. Now, my opponent has taken to attacking me on NAFTA. Well, the fact is, neither of us were in the Senate at the time. And I've long been a critic of the shortcomings of NAFTA. In 2005, when we were both in the Senate, Senator Dorgan proposed an amendment that I thought was just common sense. It said that our trade negotiators shouldn't enter into any agreement that undermine basic protections for American workers. It said we shouldn't allow foreign countries to unfairly dump their products into the American marketplace in a way that damages U.S. competitiveness. So I stood with American workers and I voted for it. Senator Obama stood with the Bush administration and voted against it. That is a big difference between us. And my opponent claims to stand up for workers. He often talks about the plight of the Maytag workers in his home state. But the union at that plant supports me because when 1,600 jobs were being lost, they say he didn't do a thing to help. We're also going to get tough with China. Otherwise, we'll keep losing jobs. The currency manipulation has to stop. The trade barriers have to come down. China is going to have to be our trade partner, not our trade master. We're going to level the playing field. It's time that we make trade work for working families. That's why I opposed fast-track authority for George Bush, because we can't allow him to ram through deals on his way out the door. When I'm president, we'll take a timeout from new agreements until we have a trade policy that is genuinely pro-worker and